You talking to yourself?
I am talking to myself. All right, well, hey, we're live now. So.
All right, I was just curious.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
bringing attention to that. Anyways, well, good morning, everybody, and welcome live here to the Elite Sports Academy for this week's show, or this week's edition of the DPPG Sports Show. My name is Devin Poslesny, and I'm joined by Mr. Michael Foley this morning. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, very well. Happy to be here.
Yep.
Sunday, it's cold out, but that's okay.
Tell me about it. We're going to come. So this week's show, we're kind of talking about, we're going to go over a score recap from this week's games, and then more or less just talk about this upcoming week. I was out of the state all week, as we mentioned last week, so I didn't really get a chance to watch any of our own games. So I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And
Well, you were saved a little bit on Friday because a lot of games got postponed because of the weather. So
saved and also stressed out.
Yeah,
Cause,
wasn't much to watch on Friday.
No, I was because Friday night was the wedding. We'll talk about that in a minute because the bride wants me to mention it.
Yay, go B.
But Friday night was the wedding, and I remember sitting in the hotel room or whatever, getting ready, and my phone blowing up with, "Is your game still on? Are you still streaming tonight?" And I'm like, "What's going on in New Hampshire?"
Yeah.
Like I called my mom, and I'm like, "What is going on with this?" It's like a ice storm with snow
2
and
to
like
3 inches of snow.
and I'm like,
It's starting to make everybody panic, which is a little awkward.
in New Hampshire,
Living in New England, yeah.
But it was definitely like, it was just like, oh, okay. So thankfully, all the athletes, we were only working with Rick Ocalano because we were covering his game or his girls' game. He was great to respond right away, so it was awesome. But it was just like, I'm 1,300 miles away. What's going on? Like, I'm looking outside, sunny, and like it was sunny and 65, so it was cold, you know. But I was just like, what's going on here? But anyways, before we talk about the score recap, I do want to quickly talk about the wedding just because it was exciting. Here's a little highlight reel I put together, little video of the first dance. Brett and Brianna. Brett and Brianna are fantastic, and I cannot tell you how excited I am for them. And then of course we got the dance floor.
Lots of line dancing.
Yeah, we got the cha-cha slide, I think, in this one. It was a great event, honestly, overall. And and here's a snowball fight.
Snowball fights.
Inspired by Mr. Michael Foley in his classroom, just so you know.
Excellent. Listen, those snowballs are a great tool. Keeps kids awake.
Those ones were a little lighter, though. So even Brianna was like, these are not Foley's snowballs. Like, she was like, what's going on? But no, it was a great event. I was the DJ for it, so these guys were dancing to the music I was playing, so that was something.
Well done.
I think this was Fireball by Pitbull at this point.
You got everybody dancing. That's the key.
Yeah. So, and then here you go. This is the end of the night.
Bubbles.
Yeah, they had the bubbles and these guys going off, and it was great. They are. You could not think of a better. You could not think of a better couple than these guys. Like, seriously, they are incredible, and I love them both, and I'm so happy for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I've not met her husband yet, but B was.
That's so weird to hear.
Well,
sorry.
I know.
That is weird. Anyway.
You guys do grow up. It does happen.
We do?
Yeah, on occasion.
That's weird. I don't believe it. I don't see it. I don't see myself growing up.
Well, that's.
I'm never going to grow up.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, congratulations to the newlyweds of the Bernthals, and it was a great event and a great trip as well. Yeah. I was saying to you before the show, everything went according to plan. I flew a Southwest, which if anybody knows what was going on with them, they're all going, really? And hopefully that restores some faith in Southwest, knowing that somebody just flew with them, and everything was perfect.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder.
Sorry.
Appreciate that.
You know, I mean, hey, when you got to go back down in a couple weeks, now you know.
Well, maybe.
But the best thing was, so Southwest had booked a second Manchester flight, and it was 5 minutes before mine. Everybody went on that flight, and I had 80 total people on my flight.
Nice.
And it was like 11 in the morning. And they're like, yeah, just so you know, nobody needs the middle seat. And I was like, sweet.
Perfect.
So the flight home was awesome. So
you had a good trip there, guy.
Yeah,
well done.
It was awesome.
Well
it was a
done.
good time. A lot of fun.
I'm a little jealous, but
I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry. We tried to fly you down.
Listen, I greatly appreciate the offer, and all that jazz.
I was
But
going to say, I tried.
couldn't swing it.
I did tell her. I was like, by the way, I'm like, we were trying to get Foley down here. And she was like, what? And I'm like, I just want you to know. I'm like,
tried.
And she was like, what was the holdup? I'm like, the airfare.
Well, airfare and time.
Yeah.
Time. There was no way I could get away from school and
right.
all that jazz.
Right. But no, I was just like, he said he could like figure it out, but like just ultimately the nonstop flights were ridiculously expensive.
Yep.
So, because they're making up for lost time. But
yes,
but
they are.
But yeah, no, it was a great trip overall, and once again, congratulations to B and Brett, and
woohoo!
Now, so as you know, her nickname for me was always Whitey B.
Yep.
Well, now it's Bernie B because of her Burn Falls.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I don't know if it's. I don't think it's gonna stick.
It may take a while.
I was gonna say she was
we
like,
could come up with something.
Yeah.
For you.
My parents said Bernadoodle B because there's like a dog, I guess that's like, I don't know.
You do know, but it's okay.
Yeah, we're just gonna go with Whitey B. Anyways, moving on
on to sports.
I was gonna say after that little awkward introduction, everybody at home's like, "Who the heck is Brianna?"
It's all right. Well, now they know.
Yeah, exactly.
She's famous.
She is. She is. She's always been famous. Moving on here, though, let's talk about scores real quick. We'll start with Division II, Laconia. The boys played Kennett, and I believe they played Sauhegan, but there's no score from that game, and it was on Friday night. So there is, I guess, a possibility that it got postponed.
It might have gotten postponed. I don't know. If there was no update on the score, then, well, I mean, they could have played, but it was at Sauhegan. A lot of stuff in the southern part of the state was canceled.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, but the girls still played at Laconia.
Yep.
So the boys played, I said, Kennett. We know for sure they beat them 68-49. The girls also played Kennett. They lost them 57-44. And the girls played Sauhegan as well, 36-27 win. Like I said, Sauhegan, the game was there. There was no score. If you guys did play, my apologies for not knowing, but you can only go with what the NHIA website provides. Right. But for Division III, Guilford, boys and girls, both played St. Thomas and White Mountains. The boys, actually both teams, swept both opponents. The boys beat St. Thomas 59-55 and White Mountains 70-51. And the girls beat St. Thomas 42-39 and White Mountains 56-23. Now, before we go on, I want to put in one thing here. 59-55. Score-wise, that's a close game for Guilford.
And it should have been. It should have been. I mean, St. Thomas is one of those other top teams in the division. Going in, I think, into the game, they were the number 2 team as far as standings go. So it was a matchup of top teams. So it came out the way it should have come out.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess I'm falling for these, you see how one team plays, well, that's how they play. Mm-hmm. They had a close game against Interlakes.
Sure.
And Guilford blew Interlakes out.
Yep.
So in theory, suggestive reasoning, led me to believe.
But it also depends on sometimes, obviously who you're playing. Right. I mean, if you were St. Thomas and you blew out Interlakes, you came and you played up and above your opponent. You didn't play down to your opponent.
Right.
And no offense to Interlakes, but they should have beaten them rather easily. You get a game against Guilford, you now have to play above what you just played.
Right.
And that's a tough task against a team like Guilford. So
right.
So the fact that it was close is a testament to St. Thomas to be able to keep it within reach. And again, that's a nip and tuck game all the way through.
Yeah, 59-55. That's a 4-point game. Yep. And in basketball,
that's Division III basketball, that's a great game.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Unfortunately, it was at St. Thomas, but unfortunately we weren't there.
Right.
So, but I believe the NFHS network has a camera in St. Thomas. So if you want to go check out that game,
it's there.
There you go.
Yep.
I might go check that out later after the Bills beat the Patriots. So moving on to Interlakes, the boys only had one game this week. They played Mascoma. They lost to them 67-50. The girls also played Mascoma. They lost to them 55-40, and they also played St. Thomas, where they lost to them 55-41. Didn't get a chance to catch that game at all or get any spark notes. The guy who usually represents Inter Lakes is not here today.
Come on, Dan.
Slacker. But it is funny how he was here when you were really, really busy, and now you're here and he's really, really busy. It's like, all right.
It's
like
fair. We're a team. It's a team.
Both passing in the night there. It's like, all right.
Teamwork.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
Teamwork.
It's the day that I'm not here that everyone goes, wait, how did...
Well, if you'd show us how
happen?
to connect these wires one of these days, we'd be...
I mean, if you want to learn, I mean, I will say this morning I'm
a busy guy.
I was exhausted. I was ready to throw in a towel this morning and say, Foley, here are the keys. Go take care.
I could have slept in. Is that what you were telling me?
No, I wasn't going there. I was saying you were going to sit here all by yourself and say, good morning, everybody.
It may happen one of these days.
Oh, my gosh. Live from Elite Sports Academy. Moving on, Newfound boys and girls only played Winnisquam this week. It was kind of a weird, slow restart after the Christmas break.
Again, just because of stuff that occurred Friday. I mean, a lot of games.
Those were the only games scheduled for
Newfound.
Yeah, for this week. Because I agree with you, but no, they were the only games scored or scheduled. The boys for Newfound lost to Winnisquam 62-34, and for the girls, once again, there was no schedule or no
update.
Yeah, no score update. Yeah. So I would assume that meant the game happened, but
right.
I guess that could be a chance it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
For the Timberwolves of Prospect Mountain, boys and girls both played Somersworth and Campbell. For the boys, they were at Somersworth. They lost to them 52-44. They played at home against Campbell, where they lost to them 67-34. For the girls, they swept both opponents, beating Somersworth 40-33 and at Campbell 43-41. So the girls are on fire over there in Prospect. The boys had a win a couple weeks ago, which for Coach Bordeaux, he had said it was almost like 700-something days since. I don't know if it was his last win or the program's last win.
Probably programs.
But great for them to be winning again. And it shows some hope, that they're not just, getting swept by everybody.
But they also played two really decent opponents. I mean, Somersworth and Campbell are good teams. So.
Well, and I was just talking in the schedule in general. But, I agree with you in this sense. Somersworth and Campbell are definitely – they're not the lesser of the division.
No.
Not that any team is the lesser division.
Well, unfortunately, there are. But
no, I hear you. Yeah. But for Division 4, Franklin – both teams played Sunapee and Groveton, both, of course, with Division 4. They travel, they play both, varsity games at the same venue. So both teams were at Sunapee. The boys beat them 62-35, and the girls lost to them 59-37. And then they both hosted Groveton yesterday on Saturday, makeup day for that snow day from a couple weeks ago. And it was, unfortunately, Groveton swept the Golden Tornadoes. For the boys, it was 57-44, and for the girls, it was 57-31. Yep. Talking hockey real quick, Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes hosted Sanborn Epping on Wednesday night. This was one of the games I did watch because I had a free moment. Really exciting game all the way up. Sanborn Epping scores the 7th goal late in the third period, but I believe it was, if I remember correctly, Sanborn Epping got the first couple goals, and then Laconia caught up and then took the lead. Because I tuned in, it was 4-2, and then it was just back and forth all the way up. So really good game. A
lot of goals.
Yeah.
A lot of back and forth in that game.
Yeah. And then the Lakers played at Kingswood last night, and unfortunately they lost to them 9-1. So that was a little
bit. Goals again.
Yeah, a lot of goals. But then for Belmont Guilford, they played at Berlin, Berlin Gorham, one of their bigger rivals, and beat them 4-2. And then we had mentioned last week about Pembroke Campbell also being a rival of theirs, and they also beat them 4-2. Yep. Before I go any further, I do have some spark notes from Coach Parent, who just sent these to me this morning. So 4 more points for Evan Guerin in the pack game last night. That's 20 points in 6 games for Guerin.
Nice.
3 more than Owen Guerin that has 18 points in 6 games. So they're brothers. So I wonder how that's going at home. But Nolan LaFrance with another win in goal. And just like that, BG is 6-0. And then he also said, don't forget that they beat Berlin in Berlin, a big win for Carson McGreevy, who was in goal, and 3 assists for Owen Guerin.
Right.
So,
look, it's anytime you go to Berlin and get a win in hockey, that's
huge.
That's ginormous.
Yeah.
And it shows, where this team is right now at this point of the season. And they're playing some great hockey. They got some great games coming up here in the next couple of weeks. And so the competition is only going to get a little bit better. And again, scoring 4 against Berlin there is a statement.
Yeah, and for sure. I mean, you're right. Up there, the place is packed.
Yep.
And because of the distance, that packed place is mostly for that home team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And BG travels well.
Yep.
But definitely there are moments where it's like, well, this place is sold out with only Berlin-Gorham fans,
Right.
But I was able to tune into some of that one as well because it was also on Wednesday night after the Laconia Winnisquam Interlakes game, and it was a back and forth game.
Yep.
But during the third period, I believe it was, BG just kind of controlled the pace of the game, and Berlin had their moments, but then BG was just able to kind of clean it back up and bring it back down.
Yeah.
Which, for BG fans, remembering the championship last year, that's like sweet, sweet redemption,
Yes.
Yes. But they play at Merrill Fay in a week or two, so we'll have that game, and it'll be exciting to see how that goes.
That'll be a good one.
So, yeah, that's the score update. Any games on there that stand out to you that you think, wow, or is it kind of business as usual?
I think pretty much. Business as usual. The Guilford St. Thomas game is really again that would have been the highlight game, for teams, over the course of the week. And Belmont played Winnisquam on Tuesday and lost to Winnisquam by I think 4. But it was one of those kind of back and forth games, and Winnisquam was able to pull it out, at the end. So, and then on Friday, Belmont's game against St. Thomas got postponed. So, you had Winnisquam, St. Thomas, and then we're going to talk about it in a little bit. Right. But this coming Tuesday, you have Belmont at Guilford, and so
Tuesday. Anyway, sorry.
It's a biggie. Well, and it's a huge game. It's definitely one you circled the calendar for.
Right.
But it was, but I think preparing for, that game for Tuesday meant you had 2 really big games against quality teams that you had to get through before you get to a Guilford.
Right, and then I wonder if because St. Thomas got postponed, now you're thinking, well, okay, there's nothing in between us and now Guilford. There is no more final tune-up against what you're saying is a quality opponent. So it'll be interesting.
But you've got to, you lose sometimes a little bit of what you're trying to accomplish by you played well, maybe not well enough to beat a Winnisquam. And then you get a game like St. Thomas where you think, okay, we've put in all the things we need to put in, and now it's the opportunity to work on it, and let's see if it works. And if it does, you now gain momentum going into a game against Guilford. And so it just kind of, it messes things up a little bit. You lose some of that momentum. But this team, the Belmont team, is a very resilient team. They're young, but they're resilient.
Right.
So we'll see how it shapes up come Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm excited. Sorry, one of the pieces of paper on the windows fell behind the camera. That's why I just snapped and looked. But no, I'm excited. It should be a really good game for sure. And the other great thing, about that Belmont team, and I do want to just give them credit, is, my little sister, she's in 4th grade. She's playing basketball at Belmont Elementary School. There were members of the Belmont team there yesterday morning working with them. So it's awesome to see them giving back to that community as well. So it's you see them on the court, they're fierce, but then they're also the best people in the world.
Most of the programs do a lot of stuff within the younger programs and stuff, and it's just not. It's nice those younger kids, particularly first, second, third, 4th graders. An Anakin Underhill and a Keegan Martinez walk into a gym, and you're 2nd grade, and you're looking up, going, "Oh my God, you're a giant!" And then you realize that all these kids work really well with these younger kids, and so we've been doing our clinic
Right.
At the elementary school for 23 years, and it's a blast every year to go there. And these little kids are just like, oh my God, you're a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my sister came home one time and she was like, I saw Foley, and it was just like, all right, and she was like, no, it was so cool, and I'm like, okay,
But it's fun. I mean, the kids really enjoy it from a coaching standpoint. It's great to connect with coaches, parents, all those people who are trying to continue to build programs in those lower levels. And if you want to be successful in any sport, in any program, you've got to give time to these younger programs, because if you ignore them, kids go, I don't know who you are. I don't. I've never seen you before. Why am I gonna come and play for you?
Right. So. I mean, and also there's that giving back to the point where now they'll go to your homecoming game. It's like, oh well, hey, I played soccer with him. Now I'm gonna go watch them. And things like that. So definitely, it's definitely important like that. But
and you get where the payback comes in the respect of parents are going to bring their kids to those games. These elementary school kids. Parents are going to show up at a big game at Belmont, or maybe Tuesday at Guilford.
Right.
You're gonna get a decent following of people just because it's not that far away.
Right.
Who decide to show up for that game.
Right. I mean, and also for you guys, like that semifinal against Guilford for the boys soccer, you guys came out in numbers.
Yep.
And maybe those parents, some of those people wouldn't have come out if they hadn't. Had a conversation with you in the fall when the athletes were working with their kid, or something like that. So, yeah, definitely, those connections are huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
It also helps if you've been there forever, too. And people are like, hey.
Hey, I know you. Or, hey, you were my teacher.
Exactly.
Are you there yet? Have you had a couple of those yet where they're like, hey, you're teaching my kid now?
Yeah. For about 15 years.
Listen,
it's the first time it happened. It's surreal because you're like, wait a minute, I had your parents. And now
wait a minute.
Half my classes are former students, kids. So
fair enough. Anyways,
it's fun.
So yeah, I mean, I don't even know how we got off on that little side tangent.
Just the aspect of giving back. Doing something within your community, being involved. These kids, are used to doing things like that, and it's great for programs. I wish more coaches would do it because in every area, in every district, because it just at the end of the day, it's going to help your program, and it's great for these kids. These kids are looking at these athletes as idols, and those little kids look to those guys, and those guys are the NBA players.
Right.
And, the high school kids are looking at the NBA going, oh, my God, someday.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I remember that. I remember those moments, being on the soccer field. You were probably there.
Probably.
No, little jab there.
I got you.
But,
you're old, I get it.
But no, in all seriousness, like, you're right. Like, that's huge for the kids and for the programs, and it's great. And it builds the program, which is a huge thing.
Yep.
And we had kind of talked a little bit about possibly having that type of discussion today about the building of programs and the declining numbers and things like that. Do you want to?
Sure.
I was going to say we totally. Segue. I forgot to forgot to ask you pre-show. But no, I mean it definitely. That is something. So I guess this is the hot topic. Yep. That is something that is kind of concerning. Seeing these declining numbers and seeing that I say vicious cycle, but the cycle of. Well, I don't want to play for a team that loses. Well, why is the team losing? Because they don't have numbers.
Right.
So it's like and that community thing is huge.
Yeah.
Because it makes it so that now these kids want to go play for, Coach Foley or Coach Andreski or Coach Martinez or whoever it might be. But it's definitely concerning.
It's concerning. I don't necessarily think it's. Because you guys are losing, I don't want to go play for a losing program. It's there just are so many other options for kids right now to go and do something different. And it doesn't necessarily have to be sports. I mean, there are a lot of high school kids right now who are working, and they're making $14, $15, $16 an hour, and that's a lot of money to walk away from for a season for some of these kids. And those options, those opportunities weren't there, 4 years ago. So when, 4 years ago when we had a opening day practice to start a season and you had 45 kids show up, you were like, all right, we're on the right path. This is exactly what we've been building towards. And, you survive basically the pandemic, and you come out of the pandemic and you go, all right, let's see what it's going to be like this year. And 11 kids show up day one. And you go, wait a minute. What happened?
It's a little concerning.
Well, it was a lot concerning, but you realize, in our case this year, with 11 kids showing up day one, not half, 6 kids were away on vacation, 6 kids were still working, so we knew we'd get them eventually, but you're now a week or two behind everybody else.
Right.
And not all programs, are similar. Not everyone is dealing with that. Interlakes, for example, they had in soccer, they had huge numbers throughout their program. Guilford has gigantic numbers throughout their programs, but they're being drawn to these programs, and they're not being, if you will, tempted by other outside issues.
Right.
So it's just like we talk about it within the education field that when we came back out of the pandemic, it was going to be a process of realistically reteaching kids how to be back in a classroom.
Right.
Because you sat at home on a monitor, and it was super difficult to go, hey, Devin, turn your monitor on. You need to pay attention.
Yeah.
In a classroom, kids could kind of, not necessarily they attempted to tune you out, but they still do. But it's just one of those things that you have to retrain kids to be students again.
Right.
And that's taken time, and it has not been easy, for a lot of people to get used to being back in a classroom setting.
Well, and especially like going back to what you were saying with the work thing, during the pandemic, there was all that concern of, well, do we want our kids looking at our screen for 8 hours?
Right.
Okay, no, we're only going to have it from 8 to noon. Well, then now the parents are going, well, guess what? At 1 o'clock, you can go start work.
Right.
And then what you're saying is right. Well, wow, I like having money. Yep. This is a great bank. My bank account's huge.
Yeah.
Well, why do I want to go play soccer when I can go work?
Exactly.
And that just, that's one of the things. But I think before that, what I was saying about the mentality of, oh, if they're losing, I don't want to play. Like, I heard that a lot pre-pandemic.
Yep.
And, like, there were a couple teams where they were new, and it just, nobody wanted to play for them because, they suck. Yeah. And it's like, well,
and that's part of the problem of understanding how to build, a program.
Right.
You're going to take your lumps.
Right.
Those first couple of years, but if you've got to be consistent, you've got to get buy-in from athletes to know that, and particularly those young athletes, and that's difficult.
Right. Because
when you're a freshman in high school and you come out, and let's say you make a varsity program, but you're getting thumped every game, that's tough to come back from and go, I want to go do this again next year.
Yeah.
And
or I could go run track.
Well, right.
Or whatever.
Whatever it is. But you hope that the resolve of those athletes is we're getting better each game. We're improving. You can see those progressions happen over time. And if you can see it and buy into what's going on, you're going to find success, but it takes time.
Right.
And not to, when I took over the soccer program in Belmont, they had just come off a semifinal appearance, and 2 years before that, they'd won a state championship. So there should have been no reason for us should have been flying on all cylinders. But they, the year before they didn't have a JV program, and so I came into a program that I had to convince a lot of kids to come out and play, and we were working. Mm-hmm. You could see that they were working, but I also went with a lot of younger kids in those first couple of years, hopefully knowing that we'd be better 2-3 years out, and we finally year one, I think we won 3 games.
Right.
And that's tough.
Right. I mean, but there is value in a coach like you having that mindset and saying, look, we're not winning a championship this year.
Nope.
You know, when you're a freshman, by your junior year we might be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think there are some parents out there, and not even parents, some coaches out there who don't think that. They think, I'm going to come in, I'm the best thing, or not the best thing since sliced bread. And
you have to know your personnel.
Yeah.
You can't, look, you could be God's gift to the world in coaching and walk in and go, okay, we're going to do this because I'm here. And, you know, athletes have to buy into what it is you're doing every single day.
Right.
And you can't blow smoke. You've got to be honest with them. But you also have to, the expectation of you as a coach is kids have to work.
Right.
That nothing is going to be handed to them. They've got to go work at it and work hard in order to be successful down the road.
Right.
You know, our look at this past season in soccer was we're gonna plug holes wherever we can until we get everybody up to speed.
Right.
And once you get everyone up to speed, now you can start putting in the things as far as tactics and those aspects, instead of just working on skill. Instead of, can you make a 15-yard pass consistently every day, all day,
and know that your guy is going to be there.
Right,
you know,
know your guy's going to be there,
yeah.
and then can your guy handle that pass?
Right.
You know,
Right.
Same thing happens in basketball. Same thing happens in baseball. Same things happens in football, lacrosse, you name it, whatever sport it is. You've got to be able to consistently put in the work so that you get results, or you're working towards the results you're hoping to have.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and I don't. Yeah, definitely. And I think there are other things that are completely unscripted here, by the way, this segment. But anyways, I think there are like other things, though, that are factors, unfortunately, that weren't there 20 years ago.
Sure.
Like, and I'm not, I love you guys, but like parents these days,
Mm-hmm.
you, and I know you're a coach, you're a teacher, I don't think you can say much, but like there are,
say a lot.
Oh, okay. But like there are parents out there, and you know who you are, who go from a fan to a fanatic quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and then as soon as you don't start their kid, they're coming after you.
Sure.
You know, and unfortunately, I think that's that. I don't want to say toxic trait, but like that stuff causes issues within programs and makes it so that you have 4 coaches in 4 years, you know, or whatever. And I mean, you've seen it, and
but I also think there's where, like, I'm super fortunate. I've been around a long time. I've coached 20-something years. I know the parents in my program really well. They've always been super supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Those parents who weren't supportive were never coming at me going, oh, my God, you know, you're the worst thing ever to happen to my kid, blah, 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 blah. But you know there are going to be years where there's grumblings. There are going to be years where things don't necessarily go your way as a coach or your way as a team. We had years where we'd run through an undefeated season and everyone would be like, oh, my God, this must be amazing. Yeah, it's amazing, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes of dealing with playing time, of dealing with parents who are like, how come my kid isn't playing more when things are going phenomenally well? When things are horrible, there's nothing.
Right.
There's, people aren't banging down your door going, what, you should be doing this, and that. It's, look, we're working, we're trying to do our best, we're getting kids prepped to where they need to be, but it is what it is.
Right. I mean, definitely, and I agree with you on that. And it just parents need to let you guys coach.
They do, but parents are always they're going to want to ask questions.
And that's okay, but it's when, like I said, when it goes from, hey, can I ask you a question, to I have something to say at you. Mm-hmm. It's no longer let's talk. It's you don't know what you're doing, or something like that.
Like every coach has gone through that. Every single coach has gone through that. But I think the best way to handle parents who are disgruntled or who've got issues, who have a beef with you because they may not like you, they think their kid deserves more or isn't getting the attention that they deserve, you've got to be able to find a time and a place for it. Is
Right.
that time and place immediately after a game? Never, never.
What are you talking about?
Well, just from a coaching standpoint, you're going to go, look, I'm happy to talk to you about it, but we'll talk tomorrow.
Right.
It's not going to happen after a game.
Right.
And in most cases, that comes out as if I'm comfortable with a parent and we lost a heartbreaking game, that might not be the opportunity for you to come and say, if you'd only done, okay, give me a day to sit
process
on
this,
right.
yeah.
But I might not be kind on that moment. But if you sit there, if you can take that moment, come back the next day, and have a rational conversation about what your thoughts are, what your concerns are, I'm willing to listen to most parents. It doesn't mean I'm going to change every single thing that I'm doing, but I'm going to be willing to give you a listen and be able to talk through what it is that we're trying to do. If you don't think I'm doing what we need to be doing, by all means, come to a practice and see what it is that we do and what we're trying to incorporate on any given day.
Right.
With soccer, it's never you can't have a closed practice. Right. In basketball, you can shut the doors and say, look, no one's coming in. Right. Baseball, you might be able to get away with it inside a gym because you're dealing with winter and or snow and all that stuff. But the second you step outside for a practice, you want to come to watch a practice, have at it.
Right. Right, exactly. No, I mean, definitely. And the reason why I brought up the parents side of it, just to explain why I did not to get off topic, but unfortunately, there are times where parents run out coaches, and then now that looks bad on that program, which then makes it so that other parents or even players say, well, why has this program had 5 coaches in 3 years, and why do we want to play there?
Yep.
And then it's kind of like that cycle,
Well, the vicious cycle comes into then all of a sudden, then that program or that school gets labeled as there's no one's going to want to go coach in those programs because you're dealing with parents who just are going to are going to berate you no matter what you do.
Right.
And that obviously is an issue for some schools.
Right. No, I mean, and that's definitely just something that I don't think I overheard once a conversation with an athletic director when I was packing up, and a parent was just like, basically, well, why is this happening? Why is this happening? The athletic director more or less was like, because of people like you. Yeah. And the parent was like, what are you talking? And the AD, who had been veteran, knew he had job security, was just more or less like, let me explain this to you. Parents like what you're doing right now, this happens, and then all of a sudden now, like you just said, labeled, and nobody wants to come coach because they're like, I don't want to deal with that.
Right.
So it's unfortunate.
The other, you look at certain programs, and I personally think basketball is the hardest one to coach because you're in a fishbowl, and everyone is there watching you. They can hear just about everything that you say, and so you're under that microscope all the time. And so if things aren't going well, it's easy for parents, for community to go, see, look, this person doesn't know what they're doing. And they may not be aware of what's going on in practice, behind the scenes, that impacts all that stuff that happens during the game. And not that, parents don't have time to go sit and watch every single practice.
Right.
It's not going to happen. So they're getting information from their child about what's going on in practice, and it's their child's point of view of what's going on in practice. And nor should every coach sit there and go, well, today at practice, Timmy wouldn't work or wouldn't follow, couldn't grasp the play that we were doing, so therefore I can't put Timmy in this situation because he doesn't understand it yet.
Right.
And that makes sense from a coaching standpoint, but from a parental point of view, they're going, wait, how come my kid isn't playing?
Yeah.
Timmy came home from practice, said, yeah, it was a great practice, had a lot of fun, it was awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Or Timmy went home and said, Coach sat me. and didn't explain why, or that they weren't putting in the work, or something like that. They didn't explain that Johnny is working his tail off and Timmy's playing video games. Like they don't understand that. And then that's where the parents, whether it's an accurate point of view or whatever, they then go after the coach. Or, however they do it. So, no, I mean, it's definitely something, for going back to the overall topic of the declining program numbers, it's the other aspect of it is that feeder program that, I mean, you guys for soccer, you have the middle school fantastic feeder program. Guilford's got the same thing going on, but then you have other schools. So, like,
well, Dan was talking, the last time we were on about, the aspect that, they're now going to start a middle school football program at Interlakes, and that's going to impact his feeder system.
Right.
And so, coaches are constantly dealing with new issues that pop up about, I've got another sport now that's going to compete with, my program. And, competition's great. It's awesome. Fantastic. Most of us, we're happy to have it.
Right.
But it impacts what you're able to do.
Right. And I mean, it's definitely when, like, let's say you have 500 or 3. What's Belmont at? 300 or 400?
I think right now we're like at 370.
So you have 370. In any given season, how many athletes do you have? 70, 80, 90? Right. And then now, so let's say 90, give it or just say 100, easy number because I'm bad at math. Then you have, let's say, 4 programs. So that's 20 kids.
25.
20, thank you. It's getting there.
You were right.
20, yeah, point proven. But 25 per program, and that's not including that 100 kids. It's boys and girls.
Right.
So really that 25 is more like 12.
Yeah.
13.
It drops significantly.
And then now you have a soccer program that requires 11 on the field.
Right.
It's like, whoa, wait a minute. So, yeah, I mean, the feeder programs are great, except for when there are too many, or the programs in general are great, except for when there are too many of them.
Well, it impacts certain things when there's too many. So I referee middle school basketball, and during the I had a game last week in Belmont, the Belmont Middle School game, B team game, and he had 22 kids on his bench, and I'm going for a B team,
right?
But he did a fantastic job at kind of rotating kids in and out of the game, and it was great. But then you go to other schools that have 3 kids on their bench, and you go, okay, some schools have huge numbers, and part of that is for Belmont has become because of the success of the high school program.
Right.
And that goes, that's has a lot to do with the coaches and stuff who are in the programs, coaches who were middle school coaches for years before they moved up to do other things. Right. So the numbers are there. Now the question's going to be, when those kids translate or transfer into the high school, do those numbers translate to those programs?
Right.
Because then when you finally get to the high school level, now you're gonna start to deal with kids being cut from programs.
Right.
And that's a whole other
that's a whole other episode.
Great topic for another day.
Cutting players. Can you even use the word cut anymore? Sorry, that's another topic for another day. My bad.
But yes,
sorry.
that
was a bad joke. That was a bad joke.
You're telling kids you're no longer going to be in this program,
right.
And it's never enjoyable. But
I mean, it's also difficult. So, not to not call anybody out, but when I think of the teams, the first one that comes to mind is Belmont girls lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
They have done everything in their power in the last 5, 6, 7 years to get a team going. For when I was in high school, they had a good couple consistent years.
Yeah.
But there's no feeder program.
Right.
And the other thing is, there's no, I remember Sarah Thayer, her senior year, her and Olivia Burbank were driving to Bedford to play indoor lacrosse during the winter.
Right.
Where is it up here? And granted, lacrosse is new, so I got to give them that. But then you go to Guilford, they got 40 girls on their lacrosse team.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but it's a good, healthy program, and it's just I don't know if there's a middle school lacrosse team at Guilford. I don't think so. Yeah. But it's crazy how I don't know. Yeah. You don't have a feeder program, and you see struggles in one place, but then there's others that don't. But that's a different conversation. Yeah. But like with that Belmont lacrosse team, it was unfortunate. I think last year they had to cut the season halfway through because of numbers, and I felt bad for the players who wanted to play that, And I remember.
But to where I find that interesting. I mean, they had to cut their season short mainly due to injuries because they lost kids to injury, and therefore they didn't have enough kids to field a team. But those girls they've been adamant all so far this year about trying to recruit, trying to get kids to come out and play, and who aren't doing anything in the spring. Right. So they're not pulling kids from softball. They're not pulling kids from track. It's, what do you do in the spring? I don't do anything. Well, come play lacrosse.
Right.
We'll teach you. We'll work with you all winter. We'll do this. We'll do that. And, you hope that they're able to kind of convince people.
Right. Right. I mean, yeah, it's definitely just difficult because it's like that beginning stage of any program. Dan and I talked about a couple weeks ago about him wanting to do something like where it's like a homecoming but in the spring.
Yep.
And I'd brought up, well, you need somebody crazy enough to commit it to it for like 3 or 4 years because the first couple of years you're not going to get anywhere. Right. You might have a great first event, but then the second year, and then the third year maybe, and then all of a sudden now it'll catch. Yeah. It's the same thing with these programs. You need somebody to say, like you mentioned earlier, look, this is day one. We're not going to be good, or we're going to have our issues, or we're going to have our slumps, and we're going to do that. But by your junior year, we'll be firing off on cylinders, or something like that.
Sure.
So it's difficult in general.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. No, but I mean, and I guess if there's one thing to take away from this is just constantly talk to your friends. Get people to want to play athletics and try not to pull from other programs. Right. Recruit some new people.
Yeah.
And
we, the recruitment side of it is always interesting because you're and I say recruitment because it's recruitment within your hallways, at school. Because, there are kids who walk by me in the fall and I'm like, what are you doing right now? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're an athlete. Are you playing a sport? No. Why? You're in a small high school where you could play 3 sports every season. And look, I get some kids want to specialize and want to be able to, I'm only going to play soccer, I'm only going to play basketball, I'm only going to play baseball. Where we promote it. We do our best to promote other programs.
Right.
Look, if you're not going to play soccer, go do cross country, go play golf, play football. Whatever it is. But, in the winter, if you're not playing basketball, if you're not doing indoor track, if you're not on the ski team, if you're not on the Nordic team, if you're not hockey, go do something. Stay involved.
Right, exactly.
Those kids, those programs, like my soccer guys who most of them play another sport in the winter, but as you get to the spring, there are a handful of those guys that are like, yeah, I'm going to play spring soccer and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, go do track.
Yeah.
It's going to help you. Right. Go do track.
Even if you're not the fastest one on that track, come soccer season, your endurance is going to be that much better.
I'm confident, and I'm going to give him Scott Clark, our cross-country, indoor track, and track coach, is going to be able to teach you how to run and run faster than what you do right now. No question about it.
Right.
But you've got to be willing to put in that work and that effort, for it.
Exactly. No, for sure. I mean, I've talked to so many athletes where they're, on the field hockey bench. They're not a starter. And it's like, well, I'm just here to stay in shape for basketball.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, that's cool. Yep. Go do it.
Absolutely.
Go do it. So
we got this year in soccer. We got particularly a senior that came back, played his sophomore year, didn't play his junior year, but came back his senior year and played very well for us. But it was I looked at it as thank God you came back to play. But B, I knew you were trying to keep yourself in shape for basketball. And I know he went into the basketball season this year in very good shape, ready to play basketball.
Perfect.
So
yeah, I mean, it's great. Use the opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're not looking for championships, you know.
But there are athletes, and and we talked about this the last time. The aspect that when you have a successful season, kids are going to come out of the woodwork. Whereas this fall, towards the end of the season, there are a couple kids who are like, I'm only concentrating on basketball. They're like, I'm coming to play soccer next year. I'm like, great, fantastic,
Great.
Happy to have you.
See you in August.
Yep. See you in June.
Well, sorry,
Summer.
June. My bad.
Summer soccer.
But no, I mean, that's always great to hear things like that.
Yeah.
But and not to be the devil's advocate, but at the same time, when a team isn't necessarily doing well, it's the opposite thing.
Yep.
And that's the part that kind of stinks. It's kind of like you got to hang with it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem to be a thing these days.
No, but
not as much as it was.
No, but you do try to teach kids this whole idea of what perseverance is.
Right.
Right. You're going to struggle. You're going to have seasons where you struggle, and can you carry yourself through that when things aren't going your way? We've had soccer seasons where you're leading in every game. And all of a sudden, the last 10 minutes of a game, you find yourself on the losing end, and you go, "What in the world's happening?" And is that conditioning? Is that how the personnel that you have on the field at that time is? You go through all those aspects, and you try to figure it out. But at the same time, those players are going, "We have to find a way to." We call it, you got to teach kids how to win games. And that comes into what you do in practice, how you gear a practice towards that understanding of all right, here's how you win a game. This is what it looks like. This is what pressure feels like in those last minutes. And can you keep your head about you when things aren't going your way?
Right.
And it's a life lesson. It's a big life lesson. Right.
That is a big life lesson. Kind of goes back to the wedding the other day. Okay, here you are, final minutes before. Keep your head on. Don't lose your head right now. But no, I mean, definitely, I think it's a conversation that will unfortunately continue, but also evolve throughout time.
Sure.
This same conversation about declining numbers you could have had 20 years ago,
Absolutely.
but instead of 11, it would have been, we went from 40 to 30.
Right.
What happened?
Yep.
Now it's like, whoa. It's kind of like Lake Mead. You're running out of water.
Right. Well played.
Thank you.
Nice. Geography there, guy.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. I did a project on the Hoover Dam.
Well done.
Yeah, built a model. Anyways, so any other?
You still have the model, don't you?
I don't, unfortunately.
You
no,
do.
I don't. I
Okay.
don't.
It's in the trailer.
No, yeah. You know how big that trailer is? It's not that big. Any final thoughts on this topic before we move on?
No, I think to your point, it's definitely something that it's going to be around. It's going to, again, things ebb and flow. It will definitely depend on from program to program, season to season, but it's here for a while.
It'll be interesting. So before we move on here to a quick little announcement, I got from Miss Carter at Winnisquam. Winnisquam and Newfound Girls was a win for Winnisquam, 53-37.
Nice.
So thank you for the score update there. Quick little in-game ad, in broadcast
Nice.
ad. Elite Sports Academy, as you might have heard, Bo Fieldhouse Sports is closing down after this season or this session, unfortunately. But Elite Sports Academy is going to be offering indoor soccer stuff. So feel free to head on over to their website and Facebook and social media accounts for more information.
Nice.
So there'll be, this field, I want to say, I don't know for sure. I was going to say 100 by, I think it's 50 by 100 long, I think.
I don't think so.
No? It's 50 wide, I know, or... No. 150 long, and I just knew the number. I just had the numbers on my phone too. Either way, it's a fantastic facility here that, although it looks super small because they have some of the dividers down for soccer, it's really cool.
I'm gonna mark it off here after the broadcast.
I was gonna say
curious.
Now I'm.
Well, what I'm curious is just the aspect of a site, because it's a little narrow for soccer. But look, if you're coming in to play 9v9, it's perfect, or even an 8v8. I don't know if you could. 11v11 out here would be tough. It'd be cramped. But if you wanted to work on ball movement.
Trying to find the dimensions. Keep talking.
No, well, again.
It was in a comment somewhere. Oh, here we go. 150 long by 100 wide.
Wow.
Or it could be broken into
Is that
3.
the whole building?
No, the turf.
Is not. All right, I believe him.
Or 350 by 100, or smaller fields of 275 by 100. So, point is they are going to be offering some indoor soccer stuff, and it's awesome. So like I said, check it out on their website as well as their social media accounts for signups and things like that. There's actually a sign up right there. Trying to see if there's any obvious information on that. It's really, really small text. So
break my knees.
It's ages 5 to 6 and 2 to 4. Those are the sessions. I don't see the dates or anything like that. So yeah. So definitely, like I said, check it out on their website and things like that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the Fieldhouse in Bow is coming to a close. It was a great run, as far as indoor soccer goes. We prior to Fieldhouse opening, we used to play in a little concrete floor, which was like the Hooksett Toll Booth Sportsplex, and it was a tiny little arena that we used to play in before Bow opened. And so when Bow opened, we were like, all right, finally, we can actually play. And
nice.
So having played there every year since it's opened, it's kind of. So I have 2 games left. I'm playing in a co-ed league this session, and so it'll be a little tearjerker when it goes away.
Can we get a date on those? Maybe come stream
Thursday nights.
All right,
yeah,
all right.
Thursday
You heard it here,
co-ed.
folks. Maybe we'll.
It's so much fun. It's always been fun there. And
put a tracker on you. There's our co-host. Sure. There's Foley.
He's running for 3 minutes and he's dying. Yeah, don't put a mic on me because.
You just
panting.
Just hear panting for however long the game's. Yeah.
Can't breathe.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Too old for this.
Nope. Never say that.
Nope.
Nope.
Think it might.
Possible.
Did
nope.
you ever think about it?
No.
I was gonna say I think you have.
No.
I was gonna.
No.
I don't believe
You're
it.
talking to the wrong guy.
I don't believe it.
Right.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I see a recurring theme here though, where I pick on your age.
It's okay, guy.
So,
it's just
fine.
a number.
Yeah, exactly. Age is nothing but a number.
You're young.
Anyway,
so I don't pick on you for that.
Because I'm awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
Young and delusional.
Moving on. Let's move on here to talking about what's coming up this week on our schedule. So we got 7 games and 2 double headers. So Tuesday. We don't have anything on Monday because there wasn't much going on and I want to sleep. But it's been a busy week.
Anyway.
Okay, a busy week. Just because I went down to Florida doesn't mean I was vacationing. So, anyways, on Tuesday we got boys basketball at Guilford versus Belmont. We talked about that a little bit. We'll talk about it in a minute. On Wednesday we got ice hockey BG versus Hollis Brookline Dairyfield. That will be I think it's at 5 o'clock. Don't quote me on it. The boys game for basketball is at 6. Thursday, we got a doubleheader at Franklin. Both the boys and girls are playing Mount Royal Academy. And that'll be fun. I think it's a 4:30 and 6 o'clock start. Again, it is scrolling along the bottom of your screen with the actual start times. On Friday the 13th, we got girls basketball at Prospect Mountain versus Concord Christian. And then we end out the week next Saturday with a doubleheader at Merrill Fay Arena, where Laconia Winnisquamish Lakes is going to play Kennett, and then Belmont Guilford's going to play Lebanon Stevens Mount Royal.
Nice.
So it should be a good week.
Yeah.
Should be fun. as of right now, the weather looks good, so we should be fine there.
Should be a good week. I'm still working on Tuesday night's game, so
trying to get available.
I want to go do the game. Yeah.
Oh man, see how this works, folks? He just invited himself. He's like, I want to go do the game.
To go do the game. Therefore,
what if I already?
If I want to,
what if I already filled your spot?
That happens. It's all right. I can still be at the game.
I guess that's true.
But
you said work the game.
Look, whatever's thrown my way, I'm happy to help in any way I can. I'm a team player.
I was gonna say photography duties, but you'd enjoy that. So
good luck. You're not gonna anything. Regardless, it should be a good game. It's definitely gonna.
Could you be our water boy, the DPPG water boy?
If you'd like that,
water.
Sure. Give it a try.
We could put
See what you get.
We could put you in a suit with the.
Listen, I've got a tux.
Waiter.
It's all good.
I can see it now.
Try as you might.
All the Guilford and Belmont parents who haven't seen us in a while being like, "Wow, they've really upgraded." The Guilford parents would be like, they'd be like, "What the heck is this?
Who's this guy?
This is totally made up." Anyways, so yeah, we kind of touched on that Belmont Guilford game.
Yep.
But what are your thoughts going into it? Since apparently now he's going to be working.
Well, look, it's definitely a huge game for Belmont. It's not the end of the world, as far as games go, but it's definitely a game for them to attempt to make a statement. But look, I don't know what their game plan is going to be. Going into the game, you've got to stop some very talented Guilford players from dominating the game. But Belmont's got to be able to put the ball in the basket,
right.
And they're going to have to devise a scheme that's going to get them opportunities. The easiest statement is, look, if Belmont comes into that gym and hits shots that they need to hit, if they hit the wide open jumpers, if they can get good looks for threes, they got to hit those shots. Mm-hmm. It can't be just, hey, we took 13 threes, but we only hit 2. We took 13 threes and we hit 10.
Right.
That's the type of game they're going to need to come out against Guilford. How you slow them down, how you do that's why the coach gets paid the big bucks.
Exactly.
But Guilford's going to be tough, and if they can pull off an upset there, it gives Belmont obviously momentum. But again, why I say it's not the end of the world, it's your first look at Guilford this year for Belmont. And going into the game, they should be positive. They should feel good about their chances going into it.
Right.
And then if it doesn't work their way, it doesn't go their way, they got Guilford last game of the season at Belmont.
Yeah.
So they've you get two shots at them during the season. You're obviously going to discover a whole lot about them from that game.
Right.
But you're going to Guilford. It's going to be loud. It won't be a hostile thing, but it's going to be loud.
Right.
It's going to be a game.
Yeah, we've talked about that on the show actually when we did all the Guilford kids, and we were talking about volleyball in that gym. And you're right. It's the sound doesn't go anywhere. It stays. And Guilford is known for just being.
Yep. Look, home court advantage matters
yeah.
at the end of the day. It really does. Particularly in basketball. If their fans are going to come out, Belmont's 5 minutes away, so Belmont's going to come out. And you hope that it's a great game. It should be a great game.
Yeah.
I hope it's a close game.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't get postponed or anything. Could you imagine? Freak snowstorm. All of a sudden. No,
Would you look at the weather next week?
Would you look?
Do you want to do the DPPG weather broadcast now, just so you can?
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Hang on. I'll look it up.
I was joking.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, I was going to say, I'm going to pull
And
it.
now it's time for the weather. The weather brought to you by Devin.
Trade safe.
Devin, turn it over. I did not bring that up, but thank you.
I was going to say, it worked. You opened the opportunity, and I walked right in.
You did.
If I can type. Where are we? Belmont? There we go. All right, for the weather.
Game's in Guilford. So
oh, darn it.
Could be a blizzard in Guilford and sunny in Belmont.
Yeah.
It is New England.
That is true. All right, so, beautiful. Well, Thursday we got snow. Friday.
Thursday is not Tuesday.
No, I know. I'm just giving the week So tomorrow, Monday, is beautiful, 39 degrees, partly AM clouds with some PM sun. And then I can't believe I'm doing it either. Then on Wednesday, Tuesday, 32 degrees, a little colder, partly cloudy though, 3% chance of precipitation. Then on...
I think you're good. Anyway...
Well, now everyone wants to know what I was saying about snow. So on Thursday, so Wednesday we're fine. What are you pointing at?
I'm just looking at the cool thing. You're doing the weather.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. Sorry. And then on Thursday, by the way, 61% chance of snow, but it's 34 degrees, so I would assume it's probably not going to go anywhere. And then on Friday, rain, snow, 85% chance, 36 degrees. Saturday morning, AM snow showers.
Hey, you know what?
What?
It's sunny out right now.
That's true. Right now, currently, it is...
Just looked out the window.
Currently, it is here in Epsom, 27 degrees, sunny, 0% chance of rain.
And we're done.
And yeah, so back over to Mike with sports.
Well, this week we have a great matchup against Belmont travels to Guilford for a 6 o'clock tip-off game.
There's no
Should be exciting.
No teleprompter, so he's totally BSing his way.
Sports brought to you by the Monthly Card Show.
Oh, my God.
January 18th.
There it is. Woo. There it is.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
I'm here.
Well done.
I'm here.
I'm waiting for an applause back for the weather, but that's beside the point.
Well, it was choppy, but...
It was. It was completely unscripted, though.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Golf claps.
I appreciate it. Anyways.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So there's our social media clip for the week.
Nice.
Devin doing the weather. Let's talk about weather. Hey,
it's not.
I had to learn how to read the weather maps and everything to become a remote pilot, so I could actually do it. Are you
okay?
Are you holding back? I was gonna say.
I'm being. Yes. Oh, look at that! That's a nice banner.
I was gonna say, are we gonna get like a nerd or something
Nope.
Nope. Anyways. So yeah, I mean that's this week's games. 7 games total: 2 boys basketball games, 2 girls basketball games, 3 ice hockey games.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. I think for me, besides that Belmont Guilford basketball game, I'm excited to see Prospect Mountain girls basketball again. I'm excited to see BG again. I don't know how Lebanon, Stevens, Mount Royal, or Hollis, Brookline, Derryfield are. Kennett's probably gonna unfortunately beat Laconia, Winnisquam, Minter Lakes. If you're a Lakers fan, if you're a Kennett fan, then woo. But we'll have to see how it goes. So it'll be interesting to say the least. And again, all those games will be available on our network for free, live and on demand. Like I said, the times have been scrolling along the bottom of your screen. So if you are wondering when the games are, they're listed.
Yeah.
So it'll be good.
It should be fun. It should be an exciting week.
Yep.
Again, just based on what everyone is looking at. Again, Tuesday is going to be a fun game.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I just can't believe it's already here. I was looking at the schedule, and I don't even know who. I think I scheduled somebody, and I was like, oh, they're playing Belmont. Oh, they're playing Belmont.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, circle this one twice on the calendar.
It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, so it'll be good. Yeah. So, cool. Other sports news?
I was just looking at hockey standings just to kind of get a sense of where some of those were. Look, the NFL today is going to be amazing. I expect the Bills to come out on all cylinders, just based on everything that happened last week. We finished the show.
Oh yeah.
Last week, I get home and I turn on the TV and I just missed the incident, and then watched the ambulance, watched everything go on, and couldn't they didn't show a replay of it, and so I was like, what in the world happened? What in the world happened? And then when you saw it, you were like, holy cow.
Yeah. No, so real quick to Damar Hamlin, glad to hear you're awake, you're alert, you're recovering, everything's going well, but we're still sending support and prayers and everything. But it was definitely, because I came back, I probably got home about an hour after you, and I remember I walked in and my parents were like, do you have any idea what's going on?
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And my dad's like on the verge of tears. Like, I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
And they were just like, whoa. And I wound up, because we have YouTube TV, so I wound up going back, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And my first thought was something with his neck.
Yeah.
You know, being a motorsports guy, seeing how many guys in racing get the neck injuries and things like that. But it was crazy that it wasn't that, but it was something else.
Yeah.
And
it just, basically a fluke thing, a medical incident. But again, you tip your cap to EMTs, local paramedics and stuff who were on the spot and immediately started CPR, and that's the
what
key.
saved his life.
That is the key.
And it's crazy because this week at the wedding, the Bernthal family is huge football fans.
Yeah.
And we were all talking about it, and I'm like, honestly, unfortunately, it was going to happen. You're just happy it happened there and not on the car ride home.
Sure.
Or something like that. Like you're happy that it happened, it happened there. Where you're right, medics were right there. Like there was no, we got to get you to a hospital. Call 911. It was they're right there.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. It was.
Timing with CPR and all that stuff is huge, and we're whether or not you've ever paid attention to any of the stories I told in class, but
I only had you in class once, and it was mostly economics, so we didn't talk much.
There's some stories there, but anyway, I was with a buddy of mine. This is back in the late '90s. We're golfing over at Waukee Golf Course, and an elderly gentleman dropped dead on the golf course. And we were like, my buddy was an EMT. He's like, we got to go. And got to this guy, rolled him over, and he's like, let's start. And we did CPR on this guy for 20 minutes. And it's tiring. It's not as, when you practice, on the dolls and stuff that they have today to get you certified, it's totally different when you're doing it in real life. And I was doing compressions on this gentleman, and every time I compressed, I was like, oh my God, I just broke a rib. Oh my God. And he's like, it doesn't matter. Just keep going. Jeez. And, we did it, and they ended up, by the time the ambulance got there, they ended up, they zapped this guy with a defibrillator, I think 7 or 8 times before they got a faint pulse. Jeez, but took him to a hospital. The guy woke up a day and a half later. And I couldn't tell you the age of the gentleman, but my guess was mid-80s. It was him and his wife's 50th wedding anniversary. All their kids had flown in from all over the country, and we just happened to be at the right place at the right time. And it's just one of those. It's one you're never ever going to forget it. But that's why I say, you tip your cap to medical personnel and stuff who were there, who did what they needed to do for as long as they needed to do it to get him to where he is today. And the respect that he's woken up, he's been texting, he's been on video calls and stuff with the teams and stuff.
It's great.
Is amazing. And so you hope for him that long term he has no issues, and you hope for a full recovery, and at some point in time, maybe next year, he's back on a football field, which would be amazing.
Exactly.
Exactly,
and that's the hope, obviously. Yeah. But no, it was crazy. It's something you don't normally see in an NFL game, but great response by everybody. Great response by the 2 coaches, because I don't know where it came from, but like, we're going to give a 5-minute break, and the coaches were like, no. Yeah. And then, of course, the NFL came out and was like, I don't know where that came from, like things like that, and that's fine, because there's a lot going on in the heat of the moment, and there's a lot of human in that situation. Sure. But it's just like, great job by the 2 head coaches to just be like, look, we don't know what's going on.
Well, there's more. To the coaches' points, there are more important things than football right now.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we have a player that we want to go be at the hospital with, and tip your cap to Cincinnati because they wanted to be at the hospital with him as well.
Right.
And that's it's corny, but I'll say it. But that's sportsmanship at the end of the day. It's a phenomenal lesson in sportsmanship for for the NFL at that level to be like, you know what, a person who's more important than the game right now, and which is awesome.
Yeah.
And
sure.
I expect it to be a very emotional game for Buffalo today, but I also expect Buffalo to kind of wipe the carpet of New England. And as much as I want New England to win, I think every indicator has this game in Buffalo's favor.
Yeah, I mean, and it's great though, that we have the news we do with him and DeMar and everything, because football is an extremely mental game, and there was no way those players were going to play that night.
Nope.
Even if they called and said, hey, by the way, he's okay, everyone else would be like, okay, we need a minute, to get out of that headspace, because they all watched him basically die and get brought back to life right in front of them.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, by the way, you got to go do that again.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, no. So it's great that the NFL did what they did, in my opinion. Good luck figuring out having to cancel that game and then go from there, but that's for them to worry about. But you're right. I mean, it's going to be, at least they know that he's good, and he'll probably be watching on TV, watching the game, and he'll be good.
Yeah.
So when we do beat you,
thanks.
It'll be Anyway,
it's going to be. Look, it's the NFL. It's the last weekend of games, so all these games for the most part, have meaning. The fact that Jacksonville, won last night on a fumble, and brought it back to win the division.
Yeah.
That's where the meaning of these games is big. But whole lot of emotion around the game today for Buffalo and New England.
Well, I didn't see the full highlights, but it was apparently a wild night in Anaheim last night for Supercross. Not to bring racing into this,
well
but
done.
They started their season. Rolex 24 hours in a couple weeks.
There you go.
And then of course NASCAR, I think is like 3 weeks away. So just saying. I don't know.
Topps Chrome F1 cards came out last week.
Ooh.
So
Nice.
throw that out your way.
Yeah, sounds good. Would those be available at the monthly card show? Or
someone will have them. Someone will have racing. Yeah.
All right, just figured I'd ask.
No, this works. January 18th. 6 to midnight.
What did you say? The monthlycardshow.com.
Monthlycardshow.com.
All right.
Register. It's free. Don't cost nothing.
Free is me.
Free is good.
All right.
It's good.
All right.
To talk with card dealerships, card dealers from all over the country. Got a guy from Hawaii who's on there. Wow. It's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. He's got some great stuff.
That's pretty cool.
So.
All right. Well, any final thoughts? I realize we're kind of just went on a tangent there a little bit.
No, should be a great week. High school sports coming up. Obviously, NFL, you got playoff implications happening across the board today. If anyone is into hockey and stuff, the NHL is amazing right now. There's just some crazy hockey going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is good. And I'm not a big NBA fan, but the NBA is kicking along. If you're a Celtics fan, it's a great year to be a Celtics fan.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I guess that's going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I got nothing else, so why keep us on, right?
There we go.
Get us home for lunch and watch some football.
There it is.
But so that's it, folks. We want to say thank you all so much for tuning in. And don't forget that
Dan's not here, right?
No.
He's not here, so we have to do this in honor of Dan.
What?
Right?
Yes. So
it's for you, Dan.
I was going to say, you'll never catch me doing that, just saying. That's all of them. But, no, like I said, podcast version of this will be available tomorrow. So if you want to listen to us instead of watch us, that's I don't blame you. Hey, you know what? The kids are watching. No. Stop tilting your head. The kids are listening to this podcast during your class. You listening to music?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just got the earbud in.
Nope, can't have it in.
Not anymore?
No earbuds.
Oh, wow.
No cell phones.
Things have changed.
Yeah, they have.
Things have changed.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. But no, in all seriousness, podcast available tomorrow, or podcast version available tomorrow. We'll plan to try and come in again next week, talk about this upcoming week, and then preview the final week of January's sports.
2 more weeks. Yeah, January.
And I'm off.
Yeah. Today's only the 10th,
it's the
11th, 8th, 9th, whatever day it is. Yeah.
But I thought we only, hold on.
January has 31 days, guy.
No, but that would be the, no, okay, you're right.
Yeah, I know.
All right, well, there you go.
This is fun.
Anyways, so yeah, we'll be back next week here at Elite Sports Academy. We'll let you know the plan is for Sunday morning, although Monday nights seem to be kind of working too, so who knows, maybe we'll do something then. But in all seriousness, we'll be back next week here at Elite. Once again, thank you to ESA for hosting us. Beautiful facility. The Grand State Elite softball players are getting there.
Workouts in.
I was going to say, did you guys just see that player
Good
almost?
Yeah, nice catch.
Good catch. Good awareness of the net. Oof. Anyways, but no, great facility. Thank you to them for everything. If you have no final thoughts.
We're good.
All right, cool. Well, for Mike, I'm Devin. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Until we see each other for next week's show, have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you all soon.
See you soon.